It's Monday, March 14th. Coming up live on The View. It's an entire show of hot topics, and guest co-host Judge Jeanine Pirro is laying down the law on celebrities in trouble. Whether the U.S. is in danger after the devastation and nuclear threat in Japan. And a shocking new report on that movie bucket of popcorn that'll have you thinking twice at the concession stand. Then, Todd was on a hell ride from child superstar to crack addict on trial for attempted murder. And he's telling the co-host if Charlie Sheen's bizarre behavior is a telltale sign of an addict on the edge.
Action, action, action!
Then, he was the A-list director of movies that gross billions, with stars like Jim Carrey and Eddie Murphy. But Tom Shadyac is revealing how he gave up his multi-million-dollar mansion to move into a trailer and find out the answer to the age-old question, does money buy happiness? All that, hot topics and more, coming up live on The View.
Welcome to The View. We are kicking off the week with a full show of hot topics. Barbara is away on assignment this week. Elizabeth has the day off, and our guest co-host is the fabulous Judge Jeanine Pirro. Hey! So we should get right to it, because we have to start with the biggest headline that everybody's talking about. More than 10,000 are feared dead, and multiple nuclear reactors are at risk of meltdowns because of a massive earthquake and tsunami that devastated Japan. And I know all of you have probably seen this, unless you've been under a rock. I mean, I'm sort of used to earthquakes, being in California, but man, and they always say, the big one is coming. I don't know how much bigger they're going to get now.
Well, they're predicting another one. They're saying that another 7.9 is going to happen.
In Japan. They had a lot of aftershocks, and it's really one of the worst things they've ever seen.
It's one ever on.
The thing that makes me worry, though, are these nuclear reactors, because it's interesting that President Obama was about to sign a multi-billion-dollar deal to put up nuclear reactors, and now that's being put on hold, which I'm glad about.
But because
these things are too dangerous, in my opinion. And Japan is a country that has tsunamis, that has earthquakes. Maybe those countries really can't have those nuclear reactors.
Well, let's just say this, because Japan has one of the greatest earthquake preparedness, the buildings are built, everybody says this is it. But I don't think anybody ever really anticipated an earthquake this size and then a tsunami.
Right.
Because I can't remember the last time, that Japan had a tsunami that was of this kind of magnitude that was felt across the world.
And you know what? They have building standards. I mean, Joy, we're talking about the painting tsunami and the fact that they are prepared for this. The question that I really have is, given the faults on the East Coast, the faults on the West Coast, I mean, could this happen here?
Yes. Well, we have a lot of questions about that and what's happening in Japan if the U.S. is prepared for a disaster like this. And in our audience right now is ABC News consultant and professor of physics at the City University of New York, Dr. Michio Kaku. So, Doc. We have so many questions that
in Tokyo, right?
That's right.
Okay.
In fact, we were just in communication with them. Power is being rationed. The subway system was out. You had to walk home. Imagine 13 million people waiting for a taxi cab in Tokyo. Well, that's the way it is.
Doctor, I know, because like you said, in California, I was in California during the 1994 earthquake, and they thought it was going to hit California. Is that something that they can expect, that big one as well?
Well, we're talking about a tsunami that may originate from Alaska. The second largest earthquake in recorded history took place off the Aleutian Islands. That could set off a tidal wave traveling at 500 miles an hour toward Los Angeles. Computer simulations show that the wave would not be 30 feet, it would be about 15 feet. But when it hits LA, it would go inland, perhaps 2 to 3 miles. And the destruction there would be enormous.
Doctor, you know what? We have 104 nuclear plants in the United States. Are they along the coast? I mean, when we're hearing what's happening with the possible meltdowns, I mean, could that happen here?
Possibly. You realize that every nuclear power plant has to have cooling water. Cooling water comes from the ocean, it comes from a river. That's why in Japan, all the nuclear power plants, or most of them, are on the coastline. And in California, we have the San Onofre reactor just north of San Diego, and the Diablo Canyon reactor halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles.
Think, personally, as a Japanese American, do you think that Japan should have nuclear reactors?
I think they should rethink the Faustian bargain. Faust was a mythical figure who sold his soul to the devil for unlimited power. That's the Faustian bargain that Japan has made, because it has no oil, no coal, no hydro of its own, and it has the third largest economy on the earth.
But, you know, when we think about it, there was the BP oil spill, there was the explosion in the mines. Now we've got nuclear power. I mean, what are our options?
Well, I think we're going to have a national debate about this, because President Barack Obama has been going one way or the other. We don't really know what his position is. Right now, he's leaning toward nuclear. But I think there should be a national debate, given the fragility of these things. And remember that nuclear power plants are only rated at about maybe 6.5 to 7.5 to handle an earthquake of that magnitude. 8.9 was off scale.
Nobody has thought of that. I just, can you explain, because from Japan to Hawaii to the California coastline, why was it able to move and then sort of fizzle out in Southern California? Because I thought that once it started moving, the whole thing was going to happen.
Well, you have to realize that the crack in the earth that set this whole thing off was about 250 miles long, and a wall of water treats the Pacific Ocean like a pond. And it traveled at 500 to 700 miles an hour, zipping right across the Pacific Ocean as if it was the surface of your bathtub. And that's why when it hit Hawaii, the waves were 6 feet tall. However, it does decay with time. It does reflect, bounce, refract. And by the time it hit the west coast of California, it was much, much lower, measured in the inches.
I have a biblical question. Is the apocalypse upon us, or is it just that because of the communications and the fact that we have Twitter and the fact that we have instant news immediately, have these things happened over the years, or is something going on? I don't mean that really biblically, but it's like it seems as though a lot of bad things are happening to the earth.
But isn't this just the earth doing what she does? I mean, we haven't lived on it very long, and when the length that we have lived on it, people haven't been riding that long. So is it just what the earth does, or is it us?
Well, remember that 100, 200...
right now.
Remember that a few hundred years ago, these great cities of ours were fishing villages, and a magnitude 7 earthquake. A 7 earthquake takes place roughly once every month. But it takes place under the oceans, in unpopulated areas, and places where we don't have the view.
But you know, let me ask you a question. They were passing out iodine almost immediately.
That doesn't do anything, does it really? Come on.
Potassium iodide is called a doomsday pill. You pass it out in a worst-case scenario. It floods the thyroid gland so that radioactive iodine doesn't go there.
Oh, so it's okay.
But there's potential cancer cases coming up in the future because of this.
But it's funny you speak of it spiritually.
We're talking about this for quite some time, because it's going to take a while for us to wrap our heads about it. And also, thank you for coming, because I love listening to you, because you make me feel like I get it. You know, some people, they get on the television like, and the hoochie butcher and the hopper power don't match with the hopper. You get on and you say, is this, this, and this. I'm listening to you. We're going to go and come right back with even more hot topics. it's really adult. I like this jacket.
It's very corporate.
Yes.
And adult.
And so I will do the same. Last week, Lindsay Lohan rejected a plea deal that would guarantee her jail time for allegedly stealing a necklace, and the judge gave her 2 weeks to accept a new one that's being kept confidential. Surveillance video of Lohan was released last week. Jeanine, is this a good case for her? Is it a bad case? What does any of this mean?
They
What does
spliced it up and sold it.
Here's the deal. The jewelry store may have spliced it up and sold it, but it doesn't matter. As long as we've got the original tape, the DA turns out the lights, rolls the tape, the jury goes in, they say she took it, she doesn't have anything that says she borrowed it, she loaned it, she insured it, and that's the end of it. But here's the problem. They offer her 6 months in jail because, you know, she's already been in jail 3 times.
Before you get to that part.
We haven't convicted her yet?
No, because we haven't. Because on the tape, some saleswoman is holding the door for her. She's walking out with the necklace.
on.
Wouldn't they have stopped her if she was stealing
No,
it?
because apparently she had another necklace on, and she was there for 45 minutes, and it's kind of a bait and switch.
Right.
You know, it's kind of one of those scenarios where they're not really looking at
She took the
her.
one she came in with off?
No, she had them both on, so
they
they weren't clear that they could, that, you know, the person opened the door could see it.
They didn't notice that
It's
she
not
had
like
the...
it's a 20-carat
No, I
diamond. It's a
understand,
little thing.
but if they're all in there,
2,500.
they're all sitting there, you know, trying stuff on. She has on the necklace. She goes out the door, and nobody says, "Oh, I'm sorry, you still have our necklace on."
No,
Apparently not, and that was not one of the most expensive things she was looking at. But remember, this is the woman who took a coat that wasn't hers.
Yeah, but,
you know, so there's a
as
lot
a judge,
of her.
you would say that each case is individual.
No,
that we
each case is
can't.
individual.
Yes.
Priors are admissible.
But priors are
But
admissible when it
Jeanine-
comes to credibility, and theft is relevant to credibility.
Jeanine, this is the question. This is the question I have.
She's going to jail, according to her.
No,
Yeah, but
not
going
yet.
to jail in
But
LA.
no, I want to know. Okay, when people wear stuff like when Lindsay Lohan wore that white see-through dress to court, I know you're not supposed to
That
base
was a
any.
great-looking
But
dress.
I want to know when people tell you not to wear, because I got a friend who was going through a divorce, and they told her, you know, wear pale pink, wear pale blue colors to court. So does that make a difference when you go through wearing the whole dress, or you just wear corporate?
When I sat in court, it was relevant. I mean, if somebody, we tried murders, rapes, and violent felonies. You come in, you respect me, you respect the court. But it's not like we don't know Lindsay Lohan already. Like, if she dresses nicely, we're not going to know that she did it intentionally to impress us.
Does it influence the jurors when you
Yes.
come in?
Yes.
Okay, so
If that ever happened to me, I would wear a burqa.
Frankly,
No. I would. A burqa would cover everything.
you
Everyone.
can wear that
Go
jacket.
into a court with
That's
a burqa
true.
on. I'm pretty sure you might want to think of
How
something
about a
else.
hefty bag with a hole in it?
Well, let me ask you this, because another celeb was in court. Mel Gibson, who pleaded no contest to misdemeanor battery, getting 3 years probation,
bargain.
a $400 fine. He also has to do community service and take a domestic violence program.
Okay, now, if I recall, in that one of those telephone tapes that she kept, what kind of man is that hits a woman holding a baby? What
That's
kind
right.
of man does that? she
Look,
kept saying.
The proof is there. That's why he pled no contest, which is what makes me absolutely crazy.
No contest
No contest means nolo contendere. That's Latin, but we won't go there. As far as I'm concerned,
gonna
when I was
contest
a judge
it.
in my courtroom, you're either guilty or you're not guilty. Don't give me this hogwash, no contest. And that's the problem,
But
because
that's part
they
of the
plead
justice
no.
system. You can plead
Not
guilty,
every
not
court-
guilty, or no contest.
But not every court will accept a nolo contendere.
Oh.
And I wouldn't. You know what? You're either guilty or you're not. You smacked her or you didn't. You're going to jail or you're not.
strict.
Yeah, this is a strict one right here.
Look, domestic violence is unacceptable. It's
Jeanine,
unacceptable.
When you were on the judge, because you are strict, have you ever had celebrities come before you, or
Yeah, I had a rapper come before me.
really?
Was it-
to where
what was
you
it?
had
That's a hoot. I
wrapped
didn't know his
She
music,
wrapped him
though.
up. Let's put it that. She
What
wrapped
was he
him up.
up for?
Guns.
Yeah.
Possession, or he shot somebody?
No, possession
Were you
and
there?
possession and possession. He kept coming through my courtroom.
So
And
why
I
was
was
he
the
any
DA, and then I prosecuted him again.
But why is he any different from any gun toter?
Well, you got to have a license generally.
Oh, I
Joy.
see. So it's an
You know?
unlicensed.
Well, let me ask you this, because what's your thoughts on this? Charlie Sheen is taking his show on the road. Now, his live stage show called My Violent Torpedo of Truth is hitting, I'm not kidding, is hitting Detroit and Chicago, and it broke a record for selling out in 18 minutes.
But I mean, is anybody really shocked? Because that's something people want to be a party to a train wreck.
train wreck,
They,
exactly.
I'm not shocked that this sold out in record time.
Right. Well, I mean, if you go to NASCAR and you're only going for the car crashes, it's a similar thing to this.
But this is what's sad about this. Well, I don't know if it's sad or not. You know, Charlie Sheen is a really good actor. He had a successful TV show. He's got movies that we all remember, and it's kind of turned into this like freak show. Yeah. And I don't know if Charlie Sheen can come back from the freak show. I don't know.
You know what? But if we go to the show, are we considered enablers? This is what I want to know.
Yes.
You know what? We should go to the show. A mobile crisis team, because this guy is literally disintegrating.
Out of control.
He's out of control, and he really needs to be protected right now. He's delusional. He's going crazy now, and they could take him into custody.
Oh, wait, Jeanine, the 51. Okay.
5150.
He has advice for Charlie. Sober up, beg for your job back. In a Huffington Post blog, he says, Charlie needs to take a nap, get a shower, call 2.5 Men producer Chuck Lorre, apologize, saying that Charlie is a great television star, but he needs to get himself back together.
Alec, yeah, he knows.
Yeah,
he's been there.
What you mean, as the judge, this is what we talked about this last week with Britney Spears when, you know, stuff happened. Her parents took over. How come they, and I've heard about the 5150, could the parents, Martin Sheen, do this with Charlie Sheen?
Well, you know, apparently he's estranged from Martin Sheen, and that's very sad. But the 5150 means you take someone into custody because you consider them a danger to themselves or others. I think that was the basis when he said he was going to decapitate Brooke, allegedly, and then she got the kids back. I mean, there are grounds there. I don't know why California's waiting, but, you know, here we go
again. Isn't it because he's a celebrity? Look at what you're saying about Mel Gibson.
But why wasn't he arrested? Everybody knew about the coke, the suitcases.
But he didn't have anything on him. They can't arrest him if they don't have drugs.
Law enforcement has a way of finding out this stuff. He's talking about suitcases coming in.
But you're talking about, slick it up,
when it's that open, Whoopi, there's a problem.
But you see, unless they see it on you, baby, you know.
But what you do is you create probable cause. You get informants. You go in and you arrest them. I mean,
that's not what she meant.
What kind of judge are you, Jeanine?
I'm a DA now.
Oh, DA.
You know what? I was a DA too.
Sherry?
Yeah.
It's springtime. Let's deal with the spring.
That is right. And the View...
That's not what she meant.
That's not what she meant at all.
Spring.
We're playing. The View Spring Mug is on sale, and to find out more information on how to buy one, check out our website. And guess what? Members of our studio audience, you guys are going home with a spring mug from The View.
And we will be back with more Hot Topics. Movie theater chains are fighting federal requirements that they release the nutritional information that tells how fatty their popcorn is, how many calories it contains. Now, supposedly, it's 1,460 calories. It's almost, so what? It's popcorn. It's a movie. Who cares?
But the thing about
You're not supposed to eat salad in a movie. It's junk.
And you know, and that's without the butter. You know,
that's butter?
And then you go and you sit there, and if you would actually look around and see how much people shovel it, you don't even think about it.
Don't think about it.
The way I used to do my popcorn, I don't do it anymore, but the way I used to do it, I was with Bill. I showed him. You do half and half, and you do half the popcorn, you put the butter on there, and then you put more popcorn. Jason Kornblatt, our researcher, he puts straws in there and puts butter in the straws to get the butter going.
So for
but there's so much
1,460 calories, how big is it? The small, the medium, or large?
It's a small, it's a medium. And
No,
so
you said 1,460. Is that for the small one?
We don't know.
That's not, I don't
We
even
don't
know
know.
if that's
Okay,
for a
now
big
you want
one.
to know what I put in my popcorn?
What do you put on your popcorn? You judge you.
Okay, I get the hot popcorn. It's got to be hot.
Right.
And then you buy the Junior Mints, the peppermint patties,
Right,
and
so
you
it
throw
melts.
them in. And then they melt. So then you're not sure if you're getting sugar or salt. It's like a surprise in the dark.
Wow, that's actually very interesting.
How many calories do you think that is?
You know, just don't understand.
Dirty hands.
You know, some things, we're not all going to be clean eaters. Some of us don't care how much, because we don't eat it every day.
But let me ask you something about this movie popcorn, because you can buy all the red and all those different kinds of popcorns that are like low-cal popcorn. What are they putting in the popcorn?
I think it's that stuff they make.
It's the yellowness of the popcorn. It's the grease that they pop it in. And you know what? It's just
the grease a few years ago.
Grease is grease. This is why they tell you don't eat fried foods. I happen to like fried foods. Fry my popcorn.
Yeah,
Well, maybe they should give a choice.
it's not fried popcorn.
You know what? Oh my God, no! Either
be
you
conscious.
should eat it or you shouldn't eat it. I mean, you know, we all know, if you get Raisinets and popcorn and the peppermint patties, that's probably too much stuff you're not supposed to be eating.
That's what we usually
But you
do.
know what?
And
But
the
you know-
soda.
and the soda.
And a big
You know?
soda.
Yes. But if you know, it's a good thing.
It's
a good
wonderful.
thing.
Just don't go to
Love
movies
it.
every
And the
day.
better the
Not
movie,
every
the more
day.
popcorn
Now,
you eat.
Sherry, you had a visit to the doctor, and I sort of understand why now after hearing what the kind of stuff you do with your popcorn.
I did, you know,
and it woke you up.
Because Barbara was talking to, her special about heart attacks and everything, and I found out that black women are more likely than white women to have a heart attack or a stroke. So I went to Barbara's doctor. They gave me the stress test, so I had to jog on the thing, and he told me, please go get checked, because he told me that my cholesterol, being a diabetic, I was 137. That's the bad cholesterol. That was lethal for me, and that I was low. I had a vitamin D level of like 8, and you're supposed to be at 100. And he said to me, Dr. Glickledge, he said, what do you want to do with the next 45 years of your life? And he said, we want you to be here for Jeffrey. And it was like a big wake-up call, because, you've seen it, I think, I eat oatmeal and bacon every day. I love my popcorn. And so I would say to you ladies, we put this off, our health, because we care for everybody else. Go and take care of yourselves.
So what are you
and go
doing
get
to
checked.
change it?
I am on vitamin D, and I used to be so, my energy was gone. I was so fatigued.
But we're talking
I'm on
about
vitamin
subtraction,
D.
not addition.
Subtraction of food. I mean, I got to be more conscious of what I eat.
Yes, but
I
Sherry,
went to a soul food restaurant, I had salad.
didn't your diabetes give you a wake-up call? Because you were
did.
doing really well for a
And then
long
I fell
time,
off
and then you fell off.
because I was doing really well, and I thought, okay, now I can go and eat. You start eating a little bit, and then you slip.
Well,
So what are you going to eat at the movies?
I'm gonna. I don't know.
Salad.
I'll find something alternative. I'll find an alternative.
and
You
now
say you slipped for a
a
year.
word from our sponsor.
One of the many things that make this show so special is that we all have different views and personalities. The same could be said about the new Olay body collections, because of its 3 new fragrant lines that work to soften and saturate your skin. So this got me thinking, what if Olay body collections had a talk show of their own? Would they all get along?
Did you know some beauty bloggers have called Olay's new body collections gorgeous smelling?
They must have been talking about Olay's luscious embrace, which is enriched with crushed orchid extract.
No, I disagree. I definitely think they were talking about Olay's Silk Whimsy because of the delicate rose extract and almond oil.
Sorry, I think they were talking about Olay's Purely Pristine. I mean, infused with seaweed extract and mineral crystals.
Okay, ladies, since all 3 Olay body collections are half the price of some specialty store products and smell and feel fantastic, let's just agree to disagree on this topic.
Oh, I love they put a black. Wow, that could be a top-rated show. And if you want to get rave reviews for your skin, the Olay body collections are on display now at your local Walmart, where you get low prices on the products you love every day. And members of our studio audience are taking home Olay body collections and a $25 Walmart gift card.
And when we come back, former Different Strokes Todd Bridges is sharing his downward spiral from childhood superstar to crack addict and his advice to Charlie Sheen. Come right back with us.
We're gonna divide this room in half. Okay. I'll take the half from the floor up to here. You can have the rest of the way up to the ceiling. We're dividing this room equally. And as of right now, I'm not talking to you anymore. What you talking about, Willis?
You know, Charlie Sheen's story of the pitfalls of young fame is nothing new, really, because our guest Todd Bridges went from a superstar in one of the biggest sitcoms ever, Different Strokes, to become a crack-addicted tabloid headline on trial for attempted murder. And he chronicles his struggle to escape his past in the book Killing Willis. So please welcome Todd Bridges. You know, I feel so bad for Gary Coleman. He was an adorable child. He really had a terrible time later.
Dana Plato, everybody.
And Dana Plato survived everything.
Yeah, I'm the one they thought wouldn't survive.
Yeah, but you started using drugs. Why? What? Tell us about that. Why you started to use drugs? What you were using?
Well, drug addiction is very interesting. No one knows they have drug addiction until you start using drugs. That's why I always tell kids experimentation can and will lead to addiction. That's how it is. And, you know, when I got started, you know, as a kid, Dana Plato introduced me to some of it. I smoked a little bit of pot, but it never really stuck. But people thought that I was a child star when I started using drugs. I was 20 years old when I started using drugs.
Really?
So I wasn't a child star.
Were you doing pot? Or
No,
I was doing a little bit of everything when I first started at 20 years old. And what happened was I found some stuff underneath my carpet, which was cocaine, at one house that I bought, because it used to belong to a drug dealer. It was when Scarface came out, so...
So you knew how to use it.
Wow.
Well, yeah, we saw the movie, so when I used it, no one ever thought that I would go that deep into it, because I was voted, like, most likely not to get involved with drugs, because I did so many things on it and really hated it so much. But I didn't know that I had that little demon inside of me, and ended up getting taken off, and I got addicted.
It was 10 years. You had 10 years after Different Strokes had ended. It was 10 years of addiction. You had a lot of arrests. You were on the tabloids. You were incarcerated.
Oh, yeah.
What happened that made you hit rock bottom and then say, I got to get clean?
Well, for me, unlike Charlie Sheen, what will not happen to him is he will not run out of money. So he will not really hit a bottom that financially. Right. So that's the most dangerous part about addiction. You have to hit some kind of bottom to find recovery. For me, it was when I was locked up, and I realized that I had not much money left because I got ripped off also. And I was trying to figure out what to do. Well, the judge, I got arrested one more time. The judge told me you can either go to jail or go back to rehab. And I told the judge, hey, you know, I'd rather to go to rehab. But I wasn't ready to get clean yet. And when I went in rehab that night, I was very angry, and I ripped off the shower rat and was going to get everybody. And all of a sudden, this big guy came in and said, hey, it can be hard or easy. And I went, hey, it can be easy. You know, and he grabbed me, and he locked me up. They put me in 4 points in a diaper, and I realized that something had to change.
You know, you've been watching Charlie Sheen and this whole saga unfold, the interviews. I mean, what do you think is going on with him? I mean, is he mentally ill? Is he a drug addict? And what's it going to take? How does this story end?
Well, you have to realize that cocaine addiction, when you stop doing it all of a sudden, you go through a thing called cocaine psychosis, where your brain is no longer producing those endorphins that you've been getting from cocaine, and now your brain cannot produce enough endorphins to get you moving again. So what happens is you either go into depression or you go into anger, and that's what I had went into. I know the exact same stages in because I've been there before.
So he's in which stage, do you think?
He's in cocaine psychosis right now.
Where
he's angry and he's right and everyone else is wrong, because that's what I thought. Everybody else was wrong.
What do you think I should do with him?
Well, he needs treatment. Obviously, he needs treatment. But the question is going to be whether you want treatment or not. Treatment will not work unless you want it.
It doesn't look like he wants treatment if he's going on the road and doing a show.
The bottom line is the news media and the people are not going to give him that opportunity, because they're going to keep saying, yeah, go, Charlie. Yeah, we're going to... I mean, if he sold out in his concert, Nate, come on. It's ridiculous.
Okay, do you think when you're famous, like you said, because he's got a lot of money, so he's not really going to hit that rock bottom like other people would who don't have money, do you think it's worse for people who are celebrities and they're in the media? He's got 2 million followers on Twitter.
Well, if you look back at the same time that I went through all mine, I had as much media coverage, the same thing. The only difference is we didn't have Twitter and didn't have internet. So had that been going, I would have found another outlet to make money. So would my bottom had been there? Probably not.
Oh, that's interesting.
It probably would have moved along further. But see, I work with a place called ICDC College, and what we do is we help people through treatment that can help people like Charlie and everybody else. So it's really important that we figure out how to really help this kind of guy.
One of the things that you talk about is the fact that you didn't do drugs when you were taping. It was only after the show was canceled. Now, Charlie Sheen is suing his employers now and saying, you know what, I want my job back. I was performing and functioning on my job. You have no right to, you know, to fire me. Do you think he was functioning on the job?
Well, if you're doing drugs at home like that, you're not functioning like you should be.
But he was. They were happy with his performance. Is there such a thing as a functioning addict?
Of course. But see, what happened was he was a functioning addict, and then he crossed the line. See, once you cross the line,
right.
it's no longer functioning anymore.
Right.
See, there's a lot of functioning addicts all over this world. A lot of functioning alcoholics who function great.
Yep.
But like when the show finally stopped, and then all of a sudden that dysfunction becomes unfunctional, and now you're all of a sudden done. And that's what happened to
What
me.
about the enablers? Because we were talking about Tom Arnold tried to go to somebody allegedly, and they said, we're making too much money off of him. I mean, he's got a lot of enablers around him. So how does a person get through to a person like Charlie Sheen? Did you have enablers?
Well, I was my own enabler. That was the probably biggest problem because I would disappear from everybody. Charlie's biggest problem is right now is that no one can get to him. How can you get to him? He's blocking everybody off. And that's what most addicts do.
He said he got clean at home. Do you believe that he got clean on his own?
Yeah, I could just snap and get clean, too. And I could just snap and get all of my money back, too. It just happens. Close my eyes. Heck, I'm rich again. Yeah! It just doesn't happen that way.
What about the family? Can the family do anything for him?
I'm sure they're trying the best they can, but, I mean, it was like during my addiction days, you know, when I was practicing, my family couldn't get to me. They couldn't help me because I wasn't ready for help. No matter how many times they tried, I just kept going. But my mom got me in the end. And how she got me was my mom tricked me. She told me to show up for court, and I go, okay. So I show up for court, and all of a sudden the judge in there goes, hey, Mr. Bridges, how are you? And my mom's back there. I'm like, what is my mom doing here? And I'm trying to figure out, and all of a sudden the judge said to me, well, two things can happen today. You can go back to rehab or you can go to jail. And, you know, and I didn't want to go to jail, and I was like, well, I'll just go to rehab. But my mom had set all that up. She had been in there prior to that. But she had stopped enabling me. The last time I went to jail, you know, I used to always trick her to give me money when I went to jail to get out. And the last time I went to jail, I go, Mom, and she goes, don't call me. Where are you at? I go, and judge goes, bye. Click. Go, hello?
But didn't jail help Robert Downey Jr. to kick?
Yeah, I'm sure it did, but it's not about kicking in jail. Yeah. It's about finding treatment. But the thing is this, everyone doesn't have those Robert Downey Jr. situations. Everyone doesn't have those Charlie Sheen situations. A lot of us got sober and got blacklisted for a while.
Yeah. Well, you didn't work.
Charlie was
announcing the AA wanted an Alcoholics Anonymous programs one day at a time. What do you think of those?
Well, if AA didn't work, you know, I wouldn't be sitting here today. But also, I think Charlie Sheen is perfect for our show, World's Dumbest on True TV. He's going to be a candidate soon. Because all of us have been troubled child stars that got in trouble. He's candidate now, too, just like the rest of us.
Todd, thank you so much for coming by. We really appreciate it.
Very good.
And wait, before we go, I want Todd, can you let everybody know how long you've been clean?
Yeah, I've been sober 18 years.
18 years. Congratulations to you. Our thanks to Todd Bridges. We're going to be right back. Is an A-list director whose movies like Ace Ventura, The Nutty Professor, and Bruce Almighty grossed billions. But in his documentary, Yes, I Am, his fast track to fame and fortune had him asking the age-old question, does money buy happiness? Take a look. Welcome, Tom Shadyac. Tom, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you directed so many films that made billions of dollars.
Well, close to a couple billion. Close to a couple billion.
So you had this glamorous and you had an extravagant lifestyle, but at some point you looked up and you felt like you were living a lie. Why was that?
Well, you know, it's funny. The show this morning has been about celebrities who we get this model of success, you know, given to us that when you get a certain amount of stuff, you accumulate a certain amount of wealth, that there's going to be a there.
Right.
And I found it very neutral. You know, I found it very neutral. And I began to question what is real success, you know? And as I pulled myself out and kind of separated myself from the very people, you know, that helped to create the artist, I didn't feel it was right. And I wanted to shift my life.
And so you took some drastic measures to change your life. What did you do?
Well, first of all, I asked a lot of questions, you know. I come from a spiritual tradition. I was raised, you know, Catholic, and we're told not to store up treasures on earth, yet I found myself storing up treasures on earth. So as I examined these hypocrisies, I began to simplify my life. I moved from my house. I live in a beautiful mobile home park. It's beautiful. It costs a lot of money to live there. No one should feel sorry for me. It's a beautiful place, but it's simple.
Right.
You know, there's 3 keys to the spiritual life. They say simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. And so I found as I emptied myself, I got more full. I got more full with community, with connection. I was able to give more to those who needed it.
Do you think you would have been able... You're not married. You don't have any children, Tom. Do you think that...
Thanks for reminding me. Okay.
Would you like to have some? Would you like to be married with children?
I would. I'm at that point in my life where I'm ready. Yeah.
Yeah, because that would give you some internal pleasure and happiness, maybe.
Yeah, well, I have kids in a way. I just don't have biological kids. You know, I have a lot of kids that are in my life that I help and that help me, and we support each other. Been in my life long term. So.
You think if you were married and had children that you would have done the same thing, where you give up a lot
simplicity.
and do the simplicity.
Yeah, if I was married to you guys, no. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
No, but I think that the path certainly would have been different. But the question is should we not be truthful and generous and connected when we have kids? Of course, even more so. You know, I would hope I would have walked this path even more courageously if I had kids. Yeah, and teach them that we're all in this together, you know?
I want to ask you, did you know beforehand that you were not full?
Yeah, I think that definitely, as I look back on my journals at that time when I was rising up, there was kind of an emptiness, you know? And I think, especially in the American culture, we're taught to feel that extrinsically, you know, externally, that, you know, when we get a certain job or status, that it's going to pay. Yeah. And of course it doesn't.
You know, something like this tsunami earthquake that we're witnessing right now, that probably brings your point home even more strongly, I think.
Yeah.
That, you know, that you could be gone in a day, so what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
But even Tom, after you changed your life, after you made this lifestyle change, you had an injury that you suffered that completely changed your life.
Yeah.
What was that injury?
I suffered post-concussion syndrome after a bike accident, which is a syndrome where the symptoms of a concussion simply don't go away. So it's quite torturous. They tell you they may never go away. So you have to isolate yourself. You cannot take a lot of stimuli. And what happened was I thought literally after 4 or 5 months of this that I was going to die. And as an artist, I said, well, if this is my last chapter, what do I want to say before I go? And I wanted to share these life changes and these principles that had animated and elevated my life. And I thought, you know, it was something that I wanted to share as an artist, as a last expression.
Do you still have this pain in your head? You still have
I'm about 98% healed. Yeah.
So you do this documentary and you say, what's wrong with the world and what can we do to make it better? And I watched it. I thought it was phenomenal.
Oh, wonderful.
It was very touching.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what's wrong with the world? I mean...
Well, I mean, go see the movie. It's called I Am, and we're releasing in New York actually this week.
The proceeds go to?
Well, it's a foundation. 100% of the proceeds are going back. The first thing we're going to do is free a village. There's 27 million slaves in the world today. We didn't end slavery in 1865 because the mentality that creates slavery is still around. Right. And which separates us, which is essentially the answer to your question. Again, I don't want to give away there's a journey in the film, but we see everything as separate, you know? We say in our churches that we're connected with brothers and sisters, and yet we live with this cultural mantra of me first, let me take care of myself, let me pull myself out from the pack, and then I can maybe do some good.
So, you know, it's with you simplifying your life and giving up a lot of material things, there's a lot of people in Hollywood who might think you are crazy. Yeah. Your friends in Hollywood, what did they say about that?
Well, it's not just Hollywood. Yes, you know, it's not just Hollywood.
That's true.
Yeah, you know, it said that a sane person in an insane world will always appear insane. And so, yeah, people I think at first say, wait a second, you're living a very different life here. This is not the way you do it. But yet, when you look at, you know, my life in particular, those journals are no longer filled with unhappiness. You know, they're filled with joy and connection.
Thank you so much for coming by and, you know, for reminding us all about simplicity. Our thanks to Tom Shadyac. His documentary, I Am, is playing in select cities. We'll be right back.
Wow.
Wow. Thanks to Judge Jeanine Pirro for guest co-hosting with us. Have a great day. Take a little time to enjoy whatever view you happen on.